I'm really tired, bro. Oh my god. I am feeling this.
I understand. If
Let me
if you
just.
need to reschedule, that's okay.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Mm.
I'm gonna just do a quick stretch. Okay, I'm good. Alright, let's go. Welcome back to Nonstop XP. You could call me Nix, and in today's video we got a very special guest. I met this girl, Corutani Connolly, on Twitter. She is an Irish Japanese beginner mangaka, and we're doing an interview with her today.
Hello, my name is Corutani Connolly. I have been doing manga very long, but I've been drawing since I could hold crayons. It's nice to meet you all.
That is great. So in these interviews, I always ask people that, like, the very first thing is, what is your origin story? What made you get into art?
It was probably a coping mechanism since I moved to America when I was very young from a war-torn country.
Yeah.
It has been very difficult transitioning into a completely different culture from what I was done with. So I just started drawing then, and I found it therapeutic and basically never stopped.
When you say you've started art because it's therapeutic and it's a coping mechanism, I kind of relate to that quite a bit. I have a similar backstory where, you know, I started drawing just to drown out a lot of the negativity in my life at the time with my parents and, you know, dysfunctional family and all of that. So this is the first time I'm meeting someone who started art for the similar reasons as I did, and it's pretty cool. So what would you say made you fall in love with it? Because, you know, we would both start for coping reasons, but then there's a love that develops for the craft, and I want to find out, what was yours?
I think it was being able to express my ideas. As a child, I was always very, as my dad used to call me, a space case. never living in reality, always living in my dreams. And so being able to put those on paper and make them sort of real in a way was a way for me to express myself to other people, to the world, and put it into a physical form that I could feel like I was living in the present at that time.
Oh, so that's where you would say you really kind of just fell in love with art in general.
Correct.
Yeah, that's really nice. So recently you released your first manga. You started releasing pages on Twitter and Instagram. You also have a Patreon. I'm going to be showing all of this as we're talking. By the way, you guys, go ahead and show her support. She's a first-time mangaka. This thing it's not an easy thing to do. You have to be very brave to put yourself out there and put in this amount of work to draw, write, and come up with the ideas, structure everything, and make something that other people can read. Go ahead and show her some love. Follow her on Twitter, Instagram, or join her Patreon if you can. Alright, my question I was leading up to is, what was the most difficult thing you had to experience while on this journey of creating your own manga?
Honestly, it's the social and networking aspect of it, because I'm a very quiet, private person. So going out and actually meeting people and talking to people and showing them, you know, maybe the more vulnerable parts of myself. Like, I don't really talk about trauma or anything like that, but using my manga as a sort of shield allows me to express those ideas, those deeper parts of myself, sort of as an extension, so that I'm not super exposed, but I'm still being honest about who I am and what I do.
Would you say
that has been the hard part?
That's completely understandable, by the way. Being able to socialize when you're not really that much of an outspoken person is a big hurdle to overcome. And I've known people who experience like real difficulty in even having normal conversations, just like you and I are having now. And one thing I can tell is that you've made real progress. You don't come off as super shy as you did when we first met on there.
It's been a journey for sure. I think the part that makes it a little bit easier is like you have that sort of online anonymity that sort of emboldens people. And I feel like maybe that's even a bit of a bad habit in a way.
So let's talk about your manga for a bit. What's the name of it?
It's called World Eater Rebirth, and the way that I came up with the title was actually asking my patrons to help me come up with a title. They all voted on it, and that's what they came up with.
Oh,
World Eater Rebirth.
Okay. Would you say the title rings true to the story?
I believe so, because the World Eater is a very big. It's the whole point of the story. I guess it sort of plays off of sci-fi, I guess you could say, because it's technically science fiction, but it has a whole ton of like fantasy genre from places that you wouldn't necessarily expect.
Yeah.
Like medieval range, as you could see from the
pages that you have out so far.
That focus on medieval times, but it also has a bit of a futuristic mix in. So the title World Eater comes into play with all of it.
Right. I was looking at some of your art on Instagram today, and I was like, yo, the fact that you are doing all of this on your own, I respect the grind. I really do. You know, I am doing the exact same thing. Just looking at the landscape shot that you had to do, where it's like this village. You captured the atmosphere. A lot of people don't realize that there's different difficulties to doing full color and then doing black and white. You know, full color is just as even more so in some cases difficult than just doing like a black and white manga. And I respect that 100%. But my question for you is, would you say you were ever intimidated, and did that ever affect you?
It can be a little bit daunting, but if I feel myself getting too stressed out, I'll just recuse myself and sort of revert back a little bit and remember to enjoy the process.
Yeah.
That's a part that I think so many artists that are trying to break out just forget. You'd forget to enjoy your process.
Yeah.
That you have to be a little child using your crayons to color in all the lines and all of the textures and things of that sort, and like just remembering that you're doing this not just for the validation perhaps, but also for your own validation, to remember that you like doing this and that's the reason that you're doing it in the first place.
I think that's a really great point, because it's very true. I met a girl in 2023. She was telling me that she's depressed and burnt out because she's been working on these pieces of art for like sometimes 5 days, and when she puts it out, no one likes it, and it just makes her, you know, feel down. And I'm like, yeah, well, you have to remember to try and do the art for yourself first. You know, like I'm writing this comic. I recently got to 121 storyboarded pages, and you know, I get almost no attention to it, but I'm happy still because I'm doing it for myself first. I'm doing it just to prove to myself that I can actually do this, and I'm also having fun while doing it. You know, so that's a great point, and I think a lot of people should think that way.
Yeah, especially when you get really stressed and burned out, like you said.
Yeah. Now, I haven't completed your manga yet, the pages that you've released on Twitter. But I am gonna do that today because I have a little bit of free time. But as far as the things that I have seen, I'm not sure if this manga is for the faint of heart. Would you say it is or no?
It's definitely meant for a more mature audience. Yeah, it's a much darker themed sort of thing. It does have a lot of dark humor also. So I'm going to be burning in hell for all the things I've laughed at. Yeah, it's definitely a more brutal sort of world.
I'm looking forward to reading it too, because I'm very much into like dark fantasy. One of my favorite mangas of all time is Berserk, so that says a lot. So we only got time for 2 more questions, and one of those is kind of my favorite, is asking you, artists, where do you see yourself in the future with art? What's the goal? What's the dream? I want to hear where you're going, what road you're on.
Well, it's a little bit of a personal story, but let's just say I'm living in a pretty bad situation, and I'm trying to get me and my oldest sister out. So my main goal is just getting out of here. And ideally, if I could have anything I wanted, I would start my own manga studio so that I can help lift other artists out of their problems also, while giving the world new, better stories that aren't written by a machine. Cough, cough.
You see, this is kind of strange to me, because like I'm realizing more today that I relate to you like more than ever. It's the same thing for me. I want to just move out, because we live in an area where I've seen murders here. I've seen dead bodies. I've seen trails of blood, like right in the stairway or the entrance to our apartment building. And it's a similar goal. I think we're gonna talk a lot more after today, because this is kind of crazy. I didn't even know your situation was similar in that sense, and I'm sorry you had to experience that, but I think it also makes us very a lot more tough and resilient. What do you think about that? Do you think, based off of your living experience, living in an area that isn't the best, or I'm not sure how bad it is, but I'm assuming there's some serious problems that would make you even want to leave, do you think that's made you a stronger person?
I think that, along with the traumatic experiences just living in this area, a lot of it comes from having a sense of responsibility towards somebody, because I have 3 sisters, 2 which I've already gotten out of the house and they're doing well on their own.
That's perfect.
But my oldest sister is the one that's hard to leave the roost, and having that sense of responsibility to her and to sort of protect her from the abuse and the awful things that go on just in my household here, that makes me want to just like, I will do it, whatever it takes, basically, to make this work, to get her out of here, because that's what I want. My main goal is just to get her out and free and away from here, so she can live her life as she wants to.
That's very admirable, and even though you may not see it, I think you're a stronger person because of the experiences that you're going through. It's not easy surviving these situations, and I'm not going to ask you to go into detail, because I think some things are better left personal, but I get the vague sense that you've experienced some things and you're not a weak individual. You, even just wanting to help out your sister is just, it's something that I have just the utmost respect for, right? And we don't get to see a lot of families, well, I don't get to see a lot of families sticking together in the way that you are with your siblings, right? Over here, a lot of the people in like the Caribbean where I live, a lot of the people that I've met in similarly bad situations that like mine or yours, they tend to just be like, nah, I'ma just fend for myself and screw everyone else, so it's very, very sad. But I don't want to end on like a bitter note, so I'ma just kind of raise the mood a little bit here. What is your advice for beginner artists that are just coming into, let's say, manga or art in general? It's such an it's not intimidating for you, but it's gonna be intimidating for them. And what's your advice for those beginners?
Honestly, the 3 things that I would say are the most important is make other artists friends. Make friends with people that build you up, who are positive, who will not just be a yes man, but somebody who will genuinely care about you as a person.
Yeah.
As far as your art is concerned, like, even if you feel like you're stuck and you're not going in the direction you want to go, chances are you're probably going in a lot better direction than you think.
Yeah.
So at times like that, it's better to pull back and remember to enjoy the process. And that in itself will bring you enough peace to keep going. And that's the third part of advice, is do not give up. No matter what anyone tells you, no matter what you tell yourself, keep going.
Right. I think it's very important for us to really remember that even though people in our lives might say this is a waste of time and you should give up on this, doesn't get to dictate you making that decision to continue doing it. If you enjoy it, it might be scary going in. Yeah, sure, people might not like your quote-unquote art style, but a lot of famous art accounts and art YouTubers and those big Pinterest accounts or Instagram accounts started out in that exact position where people were like, oh no, this is trash, we don't like what you're doing, but they just ignored it and they kept going. And then yeah, so just as Corutani says, there's always hope, right? And I appreciate that message so much, right? This was, even though it wasn't as bubbly as some of the previous interviews, this was very real and grounded, and I loved it, right? I appreciate you coming on, right? I look forward to having you on the channel as a guest again in the future. And yeah, like, I hope to everyone listening, if you all got to this point in the video, thank you for making it this far. Go ahead, forget about subscribing to me, go ahead and follow her on Instagram, Twitter, or check out her Pinterest if you want to help her out. Read her manga, be honest, give honest critiques to her work. I think that's how we grow. I'm about to do the same. So yeah, right, to everyone else, have a great day.
Thank you for having me.
You should like you should say bye to the audience.
Sayonara, mata ne.
Oh my god, that's so kawaii.
あー、じゃないね。音だ。
I have no idea what you're saying, but like it's just adorable. Oh, that was great. I'm keeping that in.